September 14, 2025. Manila's Quiapo Church. 8:47 a.m. A man walks through the crowded sanctuary, his hand gripping something beneath his jacket. Father Miguel raises the consecrated host. The congregation bows. The man moves faster. Witnesses later say the air turned cold. What happened next would be captured on 17 different phones and change thousands of lives forever. The humidity hung thick over Manila that Saturday morning. Quiapo Church, one of the oldest sanctuaries in the Philippines, prepared for its 9 a.m. Mass. The grand Baroque structure stood defiant against the modern skyline, its weathered stones holding centuries of prayers within their cracks. Father Miguel Rodriguez, 52 years old, moved through his pre-Mass rituals with practiced precision. He had served this parish for 17 years. He knew every stain on the marble floor, every chip in the wooden pews. Outside, vendors sold religious medallions and candles. Street children weaved through the crowd. Life pulsed with its normal chaos. Inside, the faithful gathered. Mrs. Santos clutched her rosary, whispering prayers for her sick grandson. A university student, stressed about exams, lit a candle at the side altar. Construction workers in dusty clothes knelt in the back rows. The church held 600 people that morning. Normal attendance for a Saturday. What nobody noticed was the man in the gray jacket near the entrance. He stood motionless while others knelt, sat, crossed themselves. His name was Rashid Malik, 34 years old, born in Mindanao. His hands trembled slightly. His jaw clenched tight. Inside his jacket, cold metal pressed against his ribs. Father Miguel emerged in green vestments. The organ began. Voices rose in familiar hymns. The ceremony followed its ancient rhythm, movements choreographed over 2 millennia. Opening prayers. Readings. Responsorial psalm. The congregation responded automatically, their lips forming words memorized since childhood. Rashid moved forward during the gospel reading. Small steps. Deliberate. His eyes fixed on the priest. The gray jacket concealed his right hand completely. Security cameras captured everything, though nobody was watching the monitors in real time. The guard at the entrance was helping an elderly woman find a seat. The homily began. Father Miguel spoke about forgiveness, about mercy, about loving those who persecute you. His voice echoed through the sound system, calm and measured. He had no idea that in 3 minutes and 47 seconds, he would need to practice everything he preached. Rashid reached the 3rd row. The Eucharistic prayer approached. The most sacred moment. Father Miguel lifted the chalice. The congregation knelt. The ancient words filled the space. Body of Christ. Blood of Christ. Mystery of faith. That's when Rashid stepped into the aisle. Father Miguel held the consecrated host elevated. The faithful bowed their heads. The moment stretched eternal, suspended between earth and heaven. Then a sound. Footsteps. Fast, heavy. Rashid broke into a run. The gray jacket fell open. A blade flashed under the fluorescent lights. 8 inches of steel, purchased 3 days earlier from a hardware store in Tonda. His face contorted with rage and something else. Pain. Deep, unhealed wounds that had nothing to do with the priest before him. Mrs. Santos looked up first. Her scream cut through the reverent silence. Father Miguel turned. His eyes widened. The host remained in his raised hands, frozen mid-consecration. For a moment, the entire church existed in a photograph. Rashid's arm pulled back. The blade aimed forward. The distance between them collapsed to nothing. 2 men in the front row moved. Ricardo Domingo, a security guard on his day off, lunged from his seat. Antonio Cruz, a jeepney driver, threw himself forward. They were too far. The mathematics of distance and velocity worked against them. Rashid's momentum carried him forward. The blade descended. Father Miguel didn't move. He stood rooted, the consecrated host still elevated. His lips moved in prayer. No petition for safety. No cry for help. Just the ancient words of consecration, spoken in a whisper that somehow filled the entire sanctuary. The blade came within inches of the priest's chest. Witnesses describe what happened next in different ways, but certain details remain constant. The air pressure changed. Multiple people felt it, like the moment before a thunderstorm when the atmosphere itself holds its breath. The fluorescent lights flickered. 3 of them went dark. The sound system emitted a brief, high-pitched tone. Rashid's hand stopped. Not slowed. Stopped. Completely frozen mid-strike. His face registered confusion, then terror. He tried to pull his arm back. It wouldn't move. He tried to step forward. His legs refused. His mouth opened. No sound emerged. The congregation stared. Some still knelt. Others had risen halfway, caught in interrupted motion. The security guard and jeepney driver reached Rashid but stopped 3 feet away, as if an invisible barrier prevented them from approaching further. Father Miguel lowered the host slowly. His hands shook now. He placed it carefully on the altar cloth. When he looked at Rashid, the priest's expression held no fear, only sadness. Deep, profound sadness that seemed to age him 10 years in 10 seconds. Don't go anywhere. What happens next has been analyzed by theologians, psychologists, and scientists. The footage has been viewed over 100 million times. But nothing can prepare you for what witnesses say they saw. The church remained silent. That impossible, complete silence that feels like pressure against the eardrums. Nobody moved. Nobody breathed. The moment stretched beyond normal time, entered some space where seconds meant nothing. Then the light changed. Not dramatically. Not like lightning or fire. A soft, golden luminescence began to emanate from the eastern wall, where the large statue of Our Lady of Peace stood. The light grew gradually, like dawn breaking across the sanctuary. It cast no harsh shadows. Instead, it seemed to fill every corner, every crevice, with gentle warmth. Mrs. Santos, still clutching her rosary, watched the light spread. Later, she would tell reporters that it felt alive. Not like electricity or flame, but organic, breathing, aware. The light touched her face. She felt tears streaming down her cheeks, though she didn't remember starting to cry. Rashid remained frozen. The blade still hung in the air, impossibly suspended. His eyes darted frantically. Sweat poured down his face. The veins in his neck stood out like cords. He was trying to move. Trying with every ounce of strength. His body refused to obey. The golden light concentrated near the statue. The air shimmered. Physics broke down. Multiple cameras caught the phenomenon from different angles, though later experts would argue about what the footage actually showed. Some claimed lens flares. Others pointed to atmospheric effects. Nobody could explain the consistency across 17 different devices. Father Miguel dropped to his knees. Not in fear. In recognition. His lips moved rapidly. Prayers poured out in Latin, Spanish, Tagalog, mixing together in a stream of devotion. His hands clasped together. Tears ran down his face, disappearing into his gray beard. The university student who had lit a candle earlier felt compelled to record. Her phone camera activated. She held it up with shaking hands, capturing what would become the most viewed religious footage since the apparitions at Zitown. Her perspective showed something the security cameras missed. The light wasn't coming from behind the statue. It was coming through it. The boundaries between normal and miraculous blurred. The golden light intensified without becoming harsh. It filled the sanctuary like liquid, pouring into every space, touching every person. The temperature dropped 15 degrees in 30 seconds. Multiple thermometers documented this. Breath became visible in the tropical air. The statue of Our Lady of Peace stood 8 feet tall, carved from pale wood, painted in traditional blue and white. It had occupied that spot for 147 years. Countless prayers had been offered before it. Thousands of candles had been lit at its base. Now, something happened that violated every natural law. The statue moved. Not mechanically. Not like wood shifting or paint cracking. The figure itself became fluid. The carved features softened. The painted eyes blinked. The wooden hands, folded in eternal prayer, slowly opened. The blue mantle rippled as if caught in a breeze that nobody else could feel. Ricardo Domingo, the security guard, later testified that he heard singing. Female voices, dozens of them, though his audio recording captured only silence. Mrs. Santos heard nothing but felt overwhelming peace, like being wrapped in warm blankets as a child. The university student heard her grandmother's voice calling her name, though her grandmother had died 3 years earlier. Each person experienced something personal, something specific to their own wounds, their own needs. But everyone saw the same physical phenomenon. The statue transformed. The wood became flesh. The paint became skin. The eyes that had stared blankly for over a century suddenly looked at them. Actually looked. Saw them. Knew them. The figure stepped down from the pedestal. Antonio Cruz, the jeepney driver, collapsed. His legs simply gave out. He knelt on the marble floor, forehead pressed against the cold stone, shoulders shaking with sobs. Around the church, similar reactions rippled outward. People dropped to their knees. Rosaries clattered against pews. The sound of crying filled the space. The figure moved toward Rashid. Not walking, exactly. Gliding. Floating. Defying gravity in the same way it defied rational explanation. The golden light moved with her, surrounding her like an aura. Her features remained soft, compassionate. No anger. No judgment. Only infinite sadness and infinite love existing simultaneously. Rashid's frozen body began to shake. Not his whole form. Just tremors. Starting in his hands. Spreading through his arms. His face contorted. The blade in his hand vibrated. The metal sang a high, thin note that cut through the weeping and prayers. His mouth opened in a silent scream. Father Miguel watched from his knees. His priestly training, his theology degrees, his 17 years of service had prepared him for many things. Not this. Never this. He found himself praying in ways he hadn't since seminary. Raw. Desperate. Completely honest. Stripped of all formality and pretension. The figure stood before Rashid. Her height matched his, though she had been 8 feet tall moments ago. She reached toward his face. Her hand moved through the space between them slowly, deliberately. Time itself seemed to resist her passage, creating visible distortions in the air. When her fingers touched Rashid's cheek, he convulsed. His entire body jerked. The blade fell from his hand, clattering against marble. The sound echoed like thunder. The spell that had frozen him shattered. He collapsed forward, not falling but lowering, as if invisible hands guided him down gently. CTA. Keep watching. Medical professionals who analyzed this footage found anomalies that still haven't been explained. The psychological evaluation that followed revealed details about Rashid's past that make what happens next even more profound. Rashid landed on his knees. His hands pressed against the floor. His forehead touched marble. Sobs ripped from his chest. Not gentle crying. Violent, body-shaking grief that sounded like something tearing apart from the inside. He gasped for air between cries. Words tumbled out in broken Tagalog and Arabic. Apologies. Confessions. Prayers he hadn't spoken since childhood. The figure knelt beside him. Her hand remained on his face. The other hand moved to his chest, pressing against the spot where rage and pain had lived for years. The golden light concentrated there. It sank into his body. Multiple witnesses described seeing it spread through him like ink in water, moving through his veins, illuminating him from within. Rashid screamed, not in pain, in release. Whatever had been locked inside him, whatever poison had festered and grown, came pouring out. The sound filled the church, echoed off walls, seemed to shake the foundation, then stopped. Complete silence. Even his breathing became inaudible. The figure rose. Rashid remained kneeling, but now he was still, peaceful. His hands folded, his eyes closed. Tears streamed down his face, but his expression held no anguish, only surrender. Complete, absolute surrender. The figure turned to face the congregation. Every person in that sanctuary felt her gaze fall on them individually. Mrs. Santos later said it felt like being seen completely. Every sin, every shame, every secret, all visible, and yet no condemnation, only acceptance, only love. The lips moved. No sound emerged that the recordings captured, but everyone present heard words. Different words for different people. Messages that addressed their specific pain, their particular struggles. The university student heard reassurance about her future. Ricardo heard forgiveness for mistakes he'd made 20 years ago. Mrs. Santos heard that her grandson would recover. Father Miguel heard his calling confirmed. His choice to serve. His decision to remain in this parish despite offers to move to safer, wealthier areas. All validated, all blessed, all necessary. The golden light began to fade. The light receded gradually. No sudden vanishing. No dramatic exit. It simply lessened, pulling back into itself like the tide retreating from shore. The figure became less distinct. Features blurred. The boundaries between flesh and wood, between presence and statue, began to merge again. Father Miguel rose on shaking legs. He moved toward the altar where the figure had been. The statue stood in its original position. Pale wood, blue and white paint, carved features frozen in eternal prayer. Nothing about it suggested it had moved. Nothing except the 47 witnesses kneeling in shock and reverence. And Rashid, still on his knees, still weeping, but transformed. Something essential had changed in him. The rage that had driven him through the church doors, that had guided the blade toward an innocent man, had evaporated, burned away by whatever had just occurred. The jeepney driver stood first. Antonio Cruz approached Rashid slowly. No fear now. No hesitation. He placed his hand on the young man's shoulder. Rashid didn't flinch, didn't resist. He looked up. His eyes were red from crying, but clear, lucid, present in a way they hadn't been earlier. Security guards entered. Real ones now, responding to the panic calls. They stopped in the doorway. The scene before them made no sense. A dropped knife. A collapsed attacker. A priest standing unharmed. A congregation in various states of shock and ecstasy. No struggle. No violence. Just overwhelming peace that felt tangible, like a presence in itself. Ricardo Domingo explained. His words tumbled out fast, fragmented. He pointed to the statue, gestured to Rashid, tried to convey the impossible. The security guards exchanged looks. One checked his radio. Another examined the knife on the floor, careful not to touch it. Rashid spoke. His first words since the blade had fallen. In broken English mixed with Tagalog, he asked for forgiveness. Not to Father Miguel specifically. To everyone. To the church. To God. To the Virgin whose statue stood silent and still against the wall. The words came from a place beyond thought. Pure emotion made verbal. Father Miguel knelt beside him. The priest's hands trembled as he made the sign of the cross over Rashid's head. He spoke blessings in Latin. Ancient words of protection and mercy. His voice cracked. Professional composure shattered by the magnitude of what had just happened. Mrs. Santos rose and approached. She pulled her rosary from her pocket. The cheap plastic beads caught the light. She pressed them into Rashid's hands. He gripped them like a lifeline. His knuckles whitened. Fresh tears streamed down his face. The police arrived 15 minutes later. They found a scene that defied their training. The attacker was praying. The victim was blessing him. The witnesses were crying and praising God simultaneously. The security footage showed something impossible. Multiple angles. Multiple cameras. All capturing the same unexplainable phenomena. Detective Carlos Reyes took statements. 47 people. 47 versions of the same story. Minor details varied. Some saw blue light. Others gold. Some heard singing. Others heard silence. But the core narrative remained consistent. The statue moved. The light appeared. Rashid was stopped not by human intervention but by something beyond human capability. Medical personnel examined Father Miguel. No injuries. Not a scratch. Perfect health for a 52-year-old man who had just survived an attempted stabbing. They checked his blood pressure. Normal. Pulse. Elevated but stable. Mental state. Shaken but coherent. They found nothing to treat. Rashid underwent psychological evaluation at the scene. Dr. Maria Santos, a crisis counselor, tried to assess his mental state. He answered her questions clearly. Yes, he had intended violence. Yes, he knew it was wrong. Yes, something had stopped him. Something he couldn't explain but felt in every cell of his body. The knife underwent forensic examination. 8-inch blade. Carbon steel. Purchased legally 3 days earlier from Ace Hardware on Rizal Avenue. Receipt in Rashid's wallet confirmed the purchase. Store footage showed him buying it along with a screwdriver set and duct tape. Premeditation established beyond doubt. CTA, what you've witnessed so far is documented by multiple sources. But Rashid's backstory reveals why this moment was inevitable. And why what happened next would change both his life and Father Miguel's forever. News spread fast. Social media exploded. Videos uploaded from 17 different phones hit Facebook, YouTube, TikTok within minutes. Hashtag Manila Apparition trended globally within an hour. Religious scholars around the world began dissecting the footage. Skeptics called it mass hallucination. Believers called it proof of divine intervention. The Cardinal of Manila arrived at 11:30 a.m. Cardinal Antonio Delgado, 67 years old, had served the Philippine Church for 40 years. He had seen faith and doubt, miracles claimed and debunked, devotion genuine and performed. Nothing in his experience prepared him for the consistency of these testimonies. He interviewed witnesses individually. Started with Father Miguel. The priest's account remained steady, detailed, specific. No embellishment. No dramatic additions. Just what happened, reported with the precision of someone who knew he sounded insane but couldn't deny what he'd witnessed. Mrs. Santos told her story through tears. The university student showed her phone footage, hands still shaking. Ricardo Domingo described the atmospheric changes with a security professional's attention to detail. Antonio Cruz spoke of the peace that filled the church, the sense of presence that couldn't be photographed but was more real than anything visible. The cardinal interviewed Rashid last. They sat in a side chapel. Just the two of them. The young man spoke for 40 minutes straight. His childhood in Mindanao. his family's struggles, the violence he'd witnessed, the propaganda he'd consumed, the anger that had grown like cancer, the rage that had brought him to this church with a blade and intent to kill. And then the moment, the stopping, the light, the touch on his face, the feeling of being known completely and loved anyway, the poison draining out, the peace flooding in, all of it impossible, all of it undeniable. Cardinal Delgado listened. His trained theologian's mind worked through possibilities. Mass delusion seemed unlikely with 47 consistent testimonies. Technology could explain light effects but not the blade's mid-air suspension. Psychology could explain emotional transformations but not complete personality restructuring in seconds. He made preliminary decisions. The church would be closed for investigation. The statue would be examined by experts. All witnesses would undergo thorough interviews. Father Miguel would receive counseling. Rashid would face justice but with the church's support. And the Vatican would be informed immediately. September 15th dawned gray. Manila woke to headlines dominating every news outlet. CNN Philippines, BBC, Al Jazeera, Fox News. The footage played on loop. The world divided instantly into believers and skeptics. Quiapo Church remained closed. Yellow police tape stretched across the entrance. But crowds gathered anyway. Thousands stood outside, praying rosaries, singing hymns, holding candles. Inside, forensic teams worked. Dr. James Patterson from the University of the Philippines led the investigation. He examined the statue with spectrometers and ultraviolet light. Wood samples showed normal aging. No biological material. No evidence of transformation. The statue was exactly what it appeared to be. Carved wood. Nothing more. Yet the footage showed otherwise. Dr. Patterson reviewed 17 different videos frame by frame. The transformation appeared genuine. No evidence of manipulation. No signs of CGI. Just something impossible happening in real time. The blade presented its own mystery. It stopped exactly 23 centimeters from Father Miguel's chest. Dr. Patterson tested every possibility. Electromagnetic fields. Magnetic repulsion. Nothing explained the sudden complete cessation of motion. Physics didn't support it. Dr. Maria Santos conducted psychological evaluations of all 47 witnesses. She used standardized assessment tools, PTSD screening, reality testing, cognitive function evaluation. Everyone tested normal. No signs of psychosis. No evidence of shared delusion. They reported impossible events with calm clarity. Mrs. Santos described divine intervention with the same matter-of-fact tone she used discussing grocery shopping. Rashid's evaluation proved most compelling. Dr. Ahmad Khalil, a Muslim psychologist, assessed him over 3 days. Personality changes typically took months or years. Therapy. Medication. Processing. Rashid went from murderous rage to peaceful acceptance in minutes. That violated everything psychology understood about human behavior. Pre-attack interviews with his acquaintances painted increasing radicalization. Anger. Isolation. Violent rhetoric. The man who entered that church was deeply disturbed. The man police arrested was at peace. Completely different personality structure. Different effect. Different worldview. The transformation went deep. Fundamental. Impossible but clearly real. The Vatican sent Cardinal Giuseppe Romano, head of the Congregation for the Causes of Saints. He had investigated claimed miracles for 30 years. Fatima, Lourdes, Medjugorje. He knew how faith and psychology intertwined. He interviewed Father Miguel for 6 hours. The priest's account remained steady, detailed, specific. No embellishment. Mrs. Santos provided emotional testimony. The university student showed unedited phone footage. Cardinal Romano watched it 20 times. No evidence of manipulation. Rashid's conversion presented theological challenges. He remained Muslim but practiced differently. Peacefully. With love instead of anger. Cardinal Romano found this detail fascinating. True divine intervention wouldn't force conversion. Would respect free will. Rashid's maintained faith, now lived authentically, suggested genuine spiritual encounter. CTA, the Vatican's conclusion will surprise you. And what it means for both the Catholic and Muslim communities changes everything about how we understand faith across religious boundaries. Cardinal Romano completed his preliminary report after 2 weeks. His conclusions remained carefully worded. Phenomena occurred which resist natural explanation. Mass delusion unlikely given consistency and number of witnesses. Psychological transformation documented and clinically significant. Physical evidence inconclusive but testimonial evidence compelling. Recommend continued observation. In Vatican language, something happened. Something significant. Whether strictly divine or some unexplained natural phenomenon remained unclear. But dismissing it as delusion or fraud wasn't justified. Physical evidence remained thin. The statue showed no change. The church held no unusual residues. No lasting physical proof. Only the testimonies. Only the videos. Only the transformed lives. But those transformations were undeniable. Rashid's complete personality restructuring. Father Miguel's deepened faith. 47 witnesses whose lives changed fundamentally. Medical professionals baffled. Scientists without explanations. Theologians acknowledging mystery. The investigation concluded what witnesses already knew. Something extraordinary occurred on September 14th. Something that transcended normal reality. Something that changed everyone who experienced it. Whether miracle or mystery, the fruits were real. The transformation was genuine. The impact would ripple outward for years to come. To understand September 14th, you had to understand the years before. Rashid Malik's story began in Marawi during the siege of 2017. He was 26 then. Working construction. Supporting his mother and 2 younger sisters. Living an ordinary life until war destroyed everything. The siege lasted 165 days. His family fled to refugee camps. Their home was destroyed. His father died in crossfire, buried in rubble. Rashid worked odd jobs, watched his mother age from grief, saw his sisters abandon school. The anger grew slowly. Questions without answers. Why his family? Why his father? In 2019, he encountered radical elements. They offered simple answers. Weaponized his pain. Transformed grief into hatred through propaganda videos showing only violence against Muslims. Only injustice. Only reasons for revenge. Rashid absorbed it, let it fill the emptiness. He moved to Manila in 2022. His mother thought he was healing. She didn't see the videos he watched at night. Didn't know about the meetings where men spoke of jihad. But something held him back. He helped neighbors. Remained kind to co-workers. The war in his soul never resolved. Until September 2025. His sister Amira was humiliated at a mall for wearing hijab. When she called crying, something inside him broke. He bought the knife September 11th. Chose Quiapo Church. Spent 3 days preparing. September 14th morning, he rode the jeepney to his target. Then came the moment. The freeze. The light. The touch on his face. Everything shattered. The ideology collapsed. The rage evaporated. The figure showed only love. Overwhelming. Transformative. It burned away the poison without destroying the person. His confession came easily. He acknowledged everything. The planning, the knife, the attempted murder, but also the intervention. His family arrived September 16th. His mother found him at peace. He apologized for the lies, the secrets, the violence he'd almost committed. She forgave him immediately. He faced trial. Attempted murder. Father Miguel testified for him. Spoke of forgiveness, mercy, redemption. The verdict came September 28th. Guilty with extraordinary circumstances. 10 years, parole possible after 5. Mandatory psychological treatment. Interfaith dialogue programs. Father Miguel approved for visitation. Rashid accepted it. The man who entered that church died there. Someone new emerged. That new person would serve his time, work on healing, help others avoid his path. Father Miguel's struggle. But transformation worked both ways. Father Miguel returned to his parish October 1st. The church reopened. Security enhanced. Life resumed. Except the priest wasn't the same. He struggled with something unexpected. Not fear. Spiritual confusion. Why had he been saved? What made him worthy? Others had died in churches. Priests had been martyred. Why not him? Cardinal Delgado reminded him miracles weren't rewards for worthiness. Sometimes grace simply happened. But that didn't satisfy Father Miguel's soul. He researched Marian apparitions, looking for patterns, trying to understand. His homilies changed, became more passionate, more urgent. He spoke about mercy, forgiveness, divine love. Some parishioners loved it. Others found it too intense. The diocese suggested counseling. Dr. Antonio Reyes, a priest psychologist, worked through the trauma. Not from nearly dying. From nearly watching someone destroy their life because of him. Rashid had carried rage, but Father Miguel represented something to him. A target. A symbol. The priest carried irrational guilt for that. But deeper questions remained. Faith questions. Father Miguel had taught about God's mercy. Now he had witnessed it. And witnessing changed everything. He began writing. Reflections on divine intervention and human responsibility. Pages filled notebooks. He visited Rashid in prison monthly. They talked about everything. The event they shared. What it meant. What it demanded of them now. These conversations helped both men. Rashid saw Father Miguel wasn't superhuman. Was broken in his own ways. Father Miguel saw Rashid's genuine transformation. The ripple effects of one impossible moment continue spreading. What happened to the witnesses will challenge everything you believe about the lasting power of divine intervention. Mrs. Santos approached him after Mass one Sunday. Told him transformation worked both ways. That miracles changed witnesses as much as subjects. That he needed to accept grace rather than question his worthiness. Her simple wisdom hit harder than sophisticated psychology. Father Miguel broke down. Right there in the church. He incorporated the experience into his ministry authentically. Not as platform. Just as truth. He had witnessed mercy. Now he practiced it. He developed ministry to formerly radicalized individuals. Worked with Dr. Ahmad Khalil. Created programs for people leaving extremist ideologies. Used his experience with Rashid as foundation. This work remained quiet. No publicity. Just patient labor with broken people finding their way back. He discovered this was his true calling. Not grand gestures. Just one-on-one work with those the world had given up on. The effects continued rippling outward. Mrs. Santos's grandson recovered completely. She became a catechist, teaching children about mercy and miracles. Ricardo Domingo enrolled in seminary at 43. Felt called to priesthood after what he witnessed. Antonio Cruz started a community organization helping Muslim families displaced by conflict. Maria Luz, the university student, completed her theology degree. Wrote her thesis on contemporary Marian apparitions. Focused on September 14th. Argued that divine intervention required only genuine transformation, not perfect documentation. Dr. James Patterson published his findings in scientific journals. Documented physical anomalies he couldn't explain. Drew criticism from colleagues. He accepted it. Truth mattered more than reputation. Cardinal Romano submitted his final report. 300 pages. His conclusion remained carefully neutral but leaned toward recognition. Phenomena occurred which resist natural explanation. Testimonial evidence compelling. Recommend continued observation. Rashid's transformation sustained in prison. He became known as the peacemaker. When fights broke out, inmates sought him. His presence calmed situations. He taught Quran classes emphasizing mercy, showing how radicalization twisted scripture. His family visited regularly. His mother told his story at community centers, warning parents about radicalization signs. Islamic-Christian relations in Manila shifted. Not dramatically, but cracks appeared in old walls. Imam Hassan Abdullah partnered with Father Miguel. Created joint educational programs targeting at-risk youth vulnerable to radicalization. Rashid participated via video calls, sharing his journey, warning about the lies. Media attention faded by late October. But those touched by the event carried it forward. Not as public spectacle. As private transformation working outward through relationships and quiet daily acts of mercy. Father Miguel wrote his reflections. Published through Small Catholic Press. September 14th, a priest's reflection on mercy. No marketing. Just availability for those seeking it. The text resonated because it embraced mystery, acknowledged questions without answers. Rashid read it in prison. Wrote Father Miguel 10 pages. Described his continuing journey. The daily work of redemption. Concluded with gratitude. Not just for forgiveness. For witness. Father Miguel had seen him at his worst and still chose mercy. The church installed a small plaque near the statue. September 14th, 2025. Here mercy triumphed. Simple. Understated. Those who knew understood. September 14th taught something essential. Divine intervention wasn't about making life easy or removing all danger. It was about providing what we needed to face difficulty with courage. To transform pain into compassion. To choose love even when hatred seemed justified. The miracle continues. In every heart that hears the story and chooses differently. Chooses mercy. Chooses forgiveness. Chooses love. One impossible moment. Still changing lives. Still proving that grace is more real than despair. That love, finally and always, defeats death.